February 6th, 5:12 p.m. This is gonna be a personal chat. I've been feeling very, very, very crummy. Like very, very bad. I just woke up around 4 p.m. I had this terrible dream where I was at, I don't know where I was. I was on some like a condo on top of New York, for instance, like an apartment on top of a skyscraper. And I'm sitting watching TV or laying down, relaxing. And then police show up. And then my cousin comes and she goes, da-da-da-da, police are here, you have to take care of it. I'm like, okay. So I go and I see now that the police are kind of dressed nice. And I see that they have jaded eyes. And I walk around a little bit and there's maybe like 8 or 12 of them in various different places. They're not wearing uniforms, so they're more like detectives. And I'm walking around and I look, and then I try to find out who's in charge, who I can speak to. And then one guy stands up, and I don't know how it happens, but I guess he takes me to the edge. There's like a balcony that when you look down, there's people, so you can like jump off, and he puts me over the edge, and he takes like a knife, and he like in the bottom, so I don't fight or anything like that. And at that point, I'm thinking, what is the best decision to make? I mean, these are police officers. You know what I mean? Like, and then it's so strange. It's just, it's such a strange thing. And then they go away, and then there's a few still left, and I'm looking at them, and they're all like wearing like nice dress shirts, like very fancy schmancy. And I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, I think these guys came for a bribe. I think they want some kind of a bribe, or they thought to exploit people. And then I kind of woke up, and I'm sure something like that really happens. Though there's no doubt in my mind. There's crooked police officers. And there's no doubt. It's just a fact. You just look on the news and start searching. Every day somebody gets. It's almost like as if every day somebody gets caught in politics and in what is this word? The police officers do public security. No, there's a word for it. That's just part of life, though. And it's not perfect, but it's good enough. I mean, there's crooked people everywhere. Police officers, politicians, firefighters, mayors, businessmen, teachers, priests. I mean, it's almost, people have gotten used to that. Priests and what they do, some of them. Yeah, it's part of life, I guess. But I wanted to do a video yesterday because it was Super Bowl, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit at Super Bowl. I was also thinking about going outside and doing like a video on just going to different bars, but then that'd be very, very dangerous, borderline creepy, because it is that way. And then the day before, I wanted to do a video because it was Saturday. And Saturday night, I got into my car, I drove to Starbucks, and I called a few people to see maybe I could spend some time with somebody. And then I sat in my car for an hour, and I thought to myself, I have nowhere to go, and I have no one to see. And I sat there, and I listened to the car radio, and then I went back home, and I played a little bit of Heroes of New York. And yesterday, I played a lot of Heroes of New York. That's something I realized that I need to... But when I was playing, I had this bird's eyes view perspective on the whole game. Like, I knew everything that was happening and all the mistakes that were being done, and just victory seemed very easily. But we won most of them. I'm finally above 1600 MMR. I need to get over to 1900 MMR this way when I play. It's just better that way. I need to do that. Because there's a lot of people in Heroes of New York who would look at like the the kill-death ratio of a player and then automatically judge him and start bullying him or her and like, oh, you suck, you fucking, you know, da da ba da da ba da da. And I also realized that I'm going to do today. I experienced it yesterday too. And somebody told me about this, but it's rare, I guess, that Russian people in general get bullied in Heroes of New York just because they're from Russia and they don't speak English. That's really bad. So I'm thinking of making a post on the Heroes of New York community forums, just saying I'm a Russian American, and just write some things. And if there's something that you want to know about Russia, I can tell you. You know, kind of like that. Just be nice to them. And, like, it's different over there than it is over here. It's a different type of a life and different types of problems. You can't compare You can't compare problems in America to problems of Russia. Yeah, you can say some things here should be over there, but Russia has a different history than the United States, and people from wherever country you are, you in a way you latch onto that history, and you take pride in knowing that, and you take pride in you just basically take pride in that, right or wrong, just kind of like in America when little children, they have to, in school, in high school, you have to stand up every morning and you have to do a Pledge of Allegiance. You stand up and you put your right hand on your heart, and there's an announcement, and everybody has to look at the flag and go, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under all, indivisible, for liberty, justice for all. And that's the Pledge of Allegiance that everybody had to do. At some point I realized I didn't actually have to do it, and no one actually was forced to do it, but it was a good thing, and I'm not going to argue. But because some of the teachers, after a while, they, well, hello? No. Okay. Ну, давай, текст. Да. Хорошо. I got distracted. So, it's a good thing, but after a while, some of the teachers, they realized that I had to, well, I didn't have to, but I was a little bit confused about it, and the fact that I was from Russia, and it just was weird. So they didn't really bust my balls when I stopped putting my hand here, and I just stopped saying anything. But I did the respect of standing up. I did that. I mean, you do have to respect it, even if you don't agree with it. I mean, there's a lot of it's just the way it is. It's strange. I was looking at some of my videos from before, how far I've come from that to here. It's still a long way to go, of course, and I think doing what I did yesterday is not a bad sign, but almost like a relapse in a way. I mean, I spent the whole day just playing a video game nonstop, and I had so many, I have so many things to do. I cannot just sit here and play video games, and every day that I don't accomplish those things, they still linger, and they just persist till the next day, and more things get added on. So I don't know if it's procrastination or a relapse. I can't decipher the two. Good news. Well, always good news, but I received a package from somebody who watched some of my videos, and they write like, how do I explain this? Well, I have to read it to understand it, but my initial thought on it was, think of like a comic book series, Marvel or DC, Marvel, DC, Justice Heroes. Think of Superman, think of Batman, think of Wonder Woman, think of the Fantastic Four, the Green Lantern, Captain America, Wolverine, X-Men, everybody, Storm, the whole shebang of it. There's I don't know what the genre of that is. Maybe superheroes. Well, he has his he's in the process of writing more, but he's writing his own universe of heroes and problems, I think, and so I'm gonna look at that. Hopefully, I'm excited. And he sells the books on I think it's Amazon or some website, but it's normal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read through it, and I'm gonna make like a small review video, maybe like a first impression or just a review. Another thing I realized today, though, well, I didn't realize it, but it's something that I was reminded of because of somebody. It's something I never, it's something you never really, I never really thought of before. But I've done a lot of drugs in my life. So having done that, I can never afford the luxury of like a prescription drug. For instance, if I have surgery and I need some sort of pain medicine, I cannot afford that. I mean, I cannot afford that luxury because it would create an onset of problems. Or if I break something, I'm in a lot of pain. Like that, I can, like some of these prescription drugs, painkillers, they're, for somebody who's not familiar with drugs, a lot of people get addicted to them. It's not a lot, but it happens, and it's, the greater good of it. You're in a lot of pain, and you need this, otherwise you're not struggling and crying and just screaming and agony and just on the kitchen floor, like in so much pain. That's why. But some people get addicted to it. I don't know. Or like medication for depression, antidepressants, something for bipolar, something for ADD. Probably millions. There's probably millions of prescription drugs. I mean, if you include the whole world, I only know a little bit about Canada, and I know there's drugs made in Canada. Drugs are made in the United States. I'm sure you got Russian pharmaceutical companies in Russia that make drugs too. Europe probably has their own, and it's probably more. So there's probably millions of prescription drugs out there. But I also view coffee as a drug. It's a common drug, so people are like, oh, it's okay, it's coffee. But there's, I know at least one person who has a cup of coffee and goes to sleep, because if they don't have that cup of coffee, they're not going to be able to sleep, and that's a counter. You don't drink this so you can go to sleep, but when you get addicted to this, you can't. You need this. It becomes part of your life, kind of the same way that this becomes part of your life. In the same way, I guess, fast food becomes part of your life. It's psychological, and you get hooked on it, and it becomes so easy, and you feel or you think that like, for instance, there's a common belief that this is a natural stress reliever, I guess, but at what cost? that you would just ultimately be addicted to it, because this is a heavily addictive product. This business is very jaded. It's you need it, you can need it, but you don't need it. It's weird. Because what point do you make? At what point does it stop where what's needed and what's not needed? I mean, you can make an argument that you don't need this. Okay, well, all places, all people who make money by this, growing the crops of the coffee beans, getting them to wherever they need to go, processing them, then getting them to wherever they need to go, to eventually getting it to a gas station that's gonna have a machine that, or eventually I'm just gonna pour it into here, into a cup, and on top of this cup, like what's essential and what's not essential, and who has that right to say? Because I mean, look at Facebook and look at Twitter. Yeah, it's pretty amazing that you can connect and talk to and with people that you've known before, you know, a long time ago, and find them and see what they've been up to, see some photos, say, hey, you know, I missed you, I loved you, all that stuff, and or to keep track or to keep in contact with certain people. But then at the same time, you have a demographic of people who are addicted to it, who can't even sit on a toilet without looking at their phone and seeing what somebody is up to, and making sure that everything is there. Right or wrong. That's tricky. But then you have to look at it even from people who work in those businesses. There are essentially, I mean, I look at it this way. They're in a way, they have this thought that, well, they're exploiting all those people, because the whole idea of Facebook and Twitter, from a business perspective, is you're gonna have people who are gonna share things about themselves to other people, store that information on the website where advertisers can advertise. It's genius. It's better than TV. In TV, you just going along with, okay, some people like this show, or for instance, the Super Bowl. Yesterday was the Super Bowl. I think the most expensive advertisement was $3.5 million for 30 seconds. That's a lot of money, because a lot of people watch the Super Bowl. I think there's 40 million people who watch the Super Bowl. That's that data on TV. But does it factor in all these places that these special businesses, restaurants, clubs, bars, lounges, whatever, they make a special venue for the Super Bowl where you can purchase tickets and go in there with your friends and get maybe some free, you know, part of your ticket, food is included, drinks are included for you to hang out there and watch the Super Bowl and hang out with your friends and hang out with other like-minded individuals. Are those numbers also factored in? Because I mean, they only have like 3 TVs there that are on, but at the same time, you might have like 100 people who are going to be watching those 3 TVs. Really. I've been thinking a little bit about Bethesda Studios. It's too early to raise the white flag. At the same time, I was also thinking, Charlie, come on, not now, please. Why do you keep coming to me? Not now. I'm sorry. At the same time, I've been thinking about Toyota, for instance. I drive a Toyota. And having, it's not fully uploaded yet. There's 2 more parts to go on my Canadian trip. But since I've gotten the car, I've traveled from New Jersey to Florida. Now I've traveled from New Jersey to parts of Canada, passing by through Maine, coming back home. And at the same time, I want to make more journeys with the car. And they have this marketing campaign going right now where they want people to share their Toyota experience. And they have some happy-go-lucky guy on some of their commercials. I don't know, maybe I thought about maybe reaching out to them to see if there's anything that they could do to me in exchange for me to saying, oh, it's a good car. Because, well, it has died on me. Well, it is a new car though, but it hasn't failed me where when you're driving for long periods of time, the car is turned on. I mean, I think that would be a good indication of if the car was actually built well. It has to rely on the mechanics and the technicians and the robots that are building this car and putting everything together, because if there's maybe a bad wire, or there's bad contact, maybe something bad. Well, I don't know anything about cars, but and the engine, from what I understand, is a very simple thing, but the car, there's more to it than just the engine. You have the windows, the power windows, you have the radio, you have the windshield wipers, there's a lot more to it than that. Then you have these gauges. For instance, I had a Ford Focus car. It was a used car, but at some time, and even actually my Toyota, my previous Toyota Matrix, when it got too cold, the gauges, when it tells you how fast you're going, they wouldn't move, because I think they were frozen. That's a good thing. That's like a flaw. Yeah, the temperature around here gets cold, but from what I understand now, in Canada it gets much colder, and in Europe it gets much colder. So is it something that they modify in those cars that they don't modify in these cars, because it might cost maybe it might cost $50 or $30 extra per car to have more advanced dashboard gauge system? Who knows? Because that's important for them, if they're going to be making 1 million cars that they're going to be selling in the East Coast United States, New York metropolitan area. If they're going to be spending $20 extra per car, 1 million cars, that's 20 million. That's 20 million cars. And then if they're going to be putting more money into the car, then they're going to have to raise the price of the car. And at the same time, they're competing with other car manufacturers and car brands, and creating a competition where they need to keep prices low and make the car appealing for everybody. That's one of the most that's one of the beauties of competition, because it keeps the checks and balances. If there was only one car brand, why would they care about? Well, they might care naturally, but this forces them to keep prices low and keep quality high. And that's the same. I guess that's the same. That's applied to not even cars, to everything really. Clothing, I assume. Everything. Even cell phone companies, they're somewhat competitive with pricing. I'm curious to what's in here. I've been looking at this. Let me open it up. I'm won't have time to get into it because I need to. Well, there's a few things that's brewing right now. I need to finish my. I need to finish my. I need to finish uploading my Canadian trip. I need to render all the video data of Heroes and Europe, some of the Skyrim, and then continue playing Skyrim. I also spoke to somebody from, I guess, this gaming organization that I'm part of for StarCraft 2. And there's a young woman who is doing something of a StarCraft 2 commentary casting, and I want to do a small Skype interview with her. So I need to draft up some questions, and she already agreed to it. But I just need to draft up some questions so she doesn't think that just something that I think needs to be done, so she knows what it is that I plan on speaking with her. And I want to just talk to her and put that up on my YouTube channel, and at the same time give her a promotion. So for anybody interested in that. Ooh. It's, first of all, it's very, very, maybe I should do it separately. Well, it's packaged very well. I like how it's packaged. It's very strong. And it's something that you learn as you go, especially with shipping things. I mean, I remember the first package I ever shipped was a disaster. And then after a while I realized that, I started to ship packages where if the plane were to crash in the middle of the ocean, the package would be waterproof. Because I used so much tape and oh wow. Wow, this is something really, really cool. I like this. I like this right away. Wow, this is some fancy book. Wow. Wow. I like this. Wow. This looks very nice, Richard, if you're watching this. Wow. It's a shame. I was just in Edgewater, a town near me, and you had a Barnes & Noble that was there for as long as I could remember, really, and it just went out of business. And it was so nice there. I didn't really go there very often, but over the course of years, I've bought books and I bought things there. Books, books. That's all they really sell. But it was interesting because it was just so comfortable there. You had people who would go there and just kind of hang out there for a couple of hours and take a book and read it because maybe they didn't have a place to go or they couldn't afford the book, so they would just go there and read and read and read. And it just, to allow something like that within a business it's a good thing. They could have been like, no, you're not allowed to do this. You can only buy the book and then you can go home and then read it. And then what will that do? Then they won't be able to, well, first of all, they probably will never come back there, and second of all, maybe they don't have the money to buy the book. So it's a difficult thing with books. Even with movies and music, I guess. I mean, you're not. Like a Hollywood blockbuster. I guess you're thinking, and everybody who's involved in creating that has this extraordinary sense of money. But if there's somebody who cannot afford to watch your movie, What good does that do? Because of something like movies, books, music, I guess there are a few other things. It's not it's not like buying a piece of shirt that you will replace in a year and never speak of it. But you watch an awesome movie, you might recommend it to some friends. You have a conversation about it. You might listen to a cool song, and you might have a conversation about it. You might share it with other people. So, so there's a reward in that. I mean, you let somebody. I don't know. This is just thought. You let somebody see a movie that they can't afford to buy for themselves. They would recommend it or speak with it to somebody else who can afford to buy it, who otherwise would not have bought it. But then how do you create a system like that works and does not get exploited? Because let's just say it like this. Let's say a car company goes like this. We're going to give everybody a car that can't afford it. Everybody will go to that car company and say they cannot afford it to get a free car. That's just It's just the way it is, I think. Not everybody, but mostly everybody. I mean, just think about it. I think oh no, not necessarily. Well, if you do it, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it would work. Hmm. Well, look at in the case of me doing the winter contest to give away 6 copies of Skyrim. A few people said, like this is, I would like the game, but I can't afford it. I just haven't bought it yet, or I'm not gonna buy it, and I don't want to, I don't want anything to do with it. So maybe if it works if it's small, but I mean, this is $60 comparing it to $30,000. $30,000 is a lot of money for everybody, mostly everybody. For like 99.9999999% of all people, $30,000 is a lot of money. To say no to that, and to understand why you're saying no to that, well, only a few people would really truly understand that. But then how would you? But then, you might. If you're married, your wife is gonna be like, "You stupid," da 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 da. Or if you're a woman, your husband might be like, I just, you've made a bad decision or something like that, because it's tough. Or your friends might make fun of you. I don't know. It's tough. That's a tough moral. Charlie, this is for me, not for you. Hmm. At the same time, I also need to reach out to, well, once it's done, it'll be understood if you watch it. At the 19th part, the fin part, I attempt to give some advice to some of the people that I've met in Canada that touched me. Not touched me, but touched my heart in a way. So I need to reach out to them and let them know that here's my advice to you. Something like that. Not really, it's not something like that, but it just maybe might be cheerful to know that for them that it was done. Just worried about the border patrol though. I think they'll understand, but it's tricky when something like what I mean, this is a little tricky when I guess when you well, it's controversial, and when you expose this to to the police, it's controversial. It's tricky. I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine it from their point of view. But at the same time, it might be uplifting because a lot of, not a lot of people, but it's popular to go out with a video camera and film police officers doing bad things or trying to put police officers in a bad situation where it would appear that they are doing something wrong or doing something very bad, and then say, look at this bad person, or police officers are corrupt. Maybe some, not all. And I know that because I've met a lot of good police officers, but at the same time, they probably bumped into a few bad police officers, but I try not to keep negative things in my head or linger or try to keep some sort of anger or anything. So, Charlie, you're distracting me. Okay, fine. Sit here. I know you want to come here. Come here. Come here. Jump up here. I know that's what you want. Jump here. You're gonna jump? Alright, I tried. No, Charlie. Jump. But at the same time, even though this, and just to back up a little bit about Bethesda Studios, you know, it's probably crazy what I did, and from their point of view, like, what the hell is that? But it was my attempt at getting attention, though, from them, just because I've sent out a few emails and they haven't answered. So doing some sort of a campaign where I'm going to send them a physical letter every day, and maybe ask somebody else to help me out and send them a physical letter every day. I don't want to waste anybody else's time, and it's an insignificant little thing. And it's just a very tricky thing, though, because if they actually contact me, well, then that's a blueprint that other people can follow, and it might, it would just be, it's something that would be, maybe you could argue that maybe they are emotionally sensitive, that somebody out there can exploit that, and that's one of the more dangerous aspects of I think doing something with this, because somebody can watch this and say, oh, cool, or it's entertaining, or it's decent, or it's interesting, it's thoughtful, it's meaningful, it might be all of those things or none of those things. But at the same time, somebody can watch this with an ill intent and exploit some of these things. That's tricky. And I'm gonna leave it at that. It's been 40 minutes, 20 seconds. And I've also something I've been thinking, maybe I'm like an empty person. Maybe I need to be in front of there's always this thought of actors or people in this life where they're always essentially in front of a camera. And the thought is maybe they're just empty people, and that's how they feel like they would be feeling complete. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm a very empty person. I need to be in front of the camera to feel some sort of sanity and some sort of I don't know what else, but who knows? Time will tell, certainly. Time always tells. And people always change. Even me, I've changed so much. And continuously change. I've looked at, even if I look back at this, if I look at this video tomorrow, I will probably ask myself, who is that person? And it's only been like a day. And I think that's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. Because the more you know, the better you're off to make better decisions. But at the same time, you're more exposed to some of the more negative aspects of life. And at the same time, you're more exposed to some of the positive aspects of life. And that requires a sense of emotional strength to deal with some of the more negative aspects of life, some of the more, or just an understanding of some people's hardships, or knowing that some people might have a different life than you, and in a more of and just to deal with it and to rationalize it and not say, this is not fair, this is not fair, this is not fair, this is not fair. And the way it's been working out for me is just to simply say, and it seems, for the most part it works, to self-rationalize it, but not. We all get different. We all get dealt different cards in life, and there is some logical, rational truth in that. Because take this coin for instance, tails and heads. Your whole life, if you're a male or a woman or a female, male or female, before you're even born, is the toss of this coin. If it's heads, you're born a male. If it's tails, you're born a female. You have absolutely no control and no choice to decide on that. Not you, the two people who created you. There's no form or a checkbox that a man and a woman check off. Boy, girl. No, it's the toss of this coin. And yes, some people try to dictate that by, let's say in China, you're only allowed to have one child per family. Most people have one child per family because most people cannot afford to have more than one child, and even to have one child, their life savings go away. That's for most people. Yes, the middle class live a luxurious and probably a decent life, just like how middle class in Russia and middle class in America live a decent life, but the people below the middle class, that's a different story. And there are a few documentaries, and it still exists, where people were having a girl born in China is better than having a boy, because when you have a girl, that girl is eventually going to get married, and when she gets married, the family gets something from the boy's family. So basically, the poor people are in a way coerced or socially coerced into having a girl as a baby in order for them to, as a family, move up in life, because then that girl maybe is going to marry a richer boy, and now they're going to start a family, and genetics and family lineage, the family lineage tree is going to move up through the social caste system. It must be very tough. And I'll leave it with that. Life is not perfect, but it's good enough, and I'm sure those people do not live in absolute agony or absolute apathy. They have joys, they have each other, they can smile at each other, and they find strength and comfort from each other, from their family.